This is Cyrus Jirongo, a luminary politician that we had in the country, just dialing back the time machine, looking at his stint also with KANU and the Y2K. I'll give you to maybe just have an opportunity to commiserate with the country as well. Meshack Odede, if may, in the course of your life, I know you're a big honcho in this country. Yeah, you could have brushed shoulders with Cyrus Jirongo. You can tell us where. What sort of a person did he, appeal to you as well?
Thank you, Dibal, and our viewers. For me, there has been just one or two questions I have asked myself. I first voted in 2002. Mm-hmm. That is when President Kibaki was coming into power, meaning I didn't vote in the 97 elections and 92 elections. But 92 elections, I can say I was still very young, and everything I knew were things that people said around, especially if you are with parents or in company of people who love discussing politics. And that is when I first heard the name Jirongo, and for us, Jirongo was that note. Actually, at the very beginning, because I was a bit younger, I didn't know Jirongo was actually somebody's name. For me, because everybody was calling that note when it was introduced, everybody was calling it Jirongo. Mm. So for some of us, it was money. So you can imagine that somebody's name was money. So you were wondering how big this guy is. Because if he's called money, I mean, it's just everything. And we were fairly poor. So you could imagine somebody, his name is money, and everybody respects that. But now when I've come to be a full-grown adult, and I've seen leaders across, the question I cannot miss to ask, and even as we give our condolences, sincere condolences to the family and the entire friends and relatives, I would say it is not always good to remain with one side of the story. The people who knew Jirongo at personal level have given us their side of the story, and they have said very well, this guy was really philanthropic and was easily giving. And that is given because you can't contest. If Jirongo gave you, and you're saying, I can't contest that. But as a Kenyan, I would want to ask, who is Jirongo the Kenyan leader? Because while some of us were young, and some of these people were his peers, sat with him in parliament, led with him in KANU, were within him in cabinet, it is only incumbent upon some of us who are young and did not know details at this point in time to ask the big question, who was Jirongo, the member of parliament? Who was Jirongo, the cabinet minister? And who was Jirongo, the Kenyan leader? Because I don't hear anybody talking about anything about his parliamentary duty, what some of the decisions he made, even in parliament, that could have moved this country to a certain direction. I don't hear anybody talking about some of his landmark decisions as a minister in government. I don't hear everybody, both older than him and young, everybody is just talking about him and this money, him and this money. But that brings me to the big question, because I also know the election of 1992, however young I was, I know it changed the politics of this country up to now, because it is the election that ushered us as a country into money politics. Mm-hmm. And this money politics, Dibal, has not left us. It is the reason why the middle class and the poor were kicked out of politics. Because after 1992, you were to have serious money to now be in politics. Before that, because people like Wakili Kibe and a few other people would tell you, sometimes when people sit in those places where people take tea and uji, people talk about, look at parliament now. If you compare this parliament to the parliament of Shikuku, the parliament of Orengo, the parliament of all those people, people, people say it obvious. It is different. Parliament now has every Tom, Dick, and Harry. That parliament was full of content, people with character. But when the KANU and Jirongos came in 1992 and ushered the country into the politics of money, everything changed, because right now, Dibal, you go to parliament as long as you have money, nothing else. And this has disenfranchised the youth, the women in this country. And the chaos and violence we see in the politics today is courtesy of the politics of money. That is my personal view. Because you can't do hiring of goons when you don't have money. Goons also can't follow you anywhere without money, Dibal. So it is the politics of 1992, even as Kenyans want to hide and run away and keep telling how generous he was, but the politics he led with the KANU, ushering us into the politics of money, we are still feeling that heat until today. I will talk about this as a young person who probably joined politics much later and found politics is not a place for poor, is not a place for middle class. It is a place for the seriously rich. But today, tell me, if you think about you being a good leader, the next thing in your mind is, do I have money? Do I have enough? Even if you are just running for MCA. So this is how the young people like us remembers Jirongo. But it is upon the older ones to tell us the beautiful things that we don't know, and he did.
About Jirongo. Okay, I'll give you also a chance, Kibe Mugai, to comment.